joker, I'm a smoker.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio. The opinions expressed during
Go ahead, Al.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are being broadcasted live at Lifestyle Radio and at Spreaker. I'm your host, Al Graham. Tonight on the Pace Radio Show, I am joined by my joint host, Northern Ontario, Kim Cooper, and I'm happy to say that Kim's guest tonight is a person who is a publisher, an author, and a person that has done so much to help people that we need over 10 shows to cover everything. But before we meet Kim's guest, Kim and I are going to have a quick chat. Kim, are you there?
I sure am, Al. How we all doing tonight?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad. And yourself?
I'm pretty good. Broadcasting live from Northern Ontario, Smooth Rock Falls, with a live studio audience in-house. Hi, everybody. Hello, Aurora.
They're right there with you, eh? So they can hear everything.
Yep. Live in-house studio audience. I've got some family over and the granddaughter, so they're all enjoying the show.
Good. I'm just sitting here alone today, this time. You know, just never know. There will be a time I'll have many people around me. So, tonight on, as far as news items, Kim, last week, after the show, actually it was the next day, the Allard appeal that was announced by the government, they said that they weren't going to appeal it. So it came after the show, so we didn't really have a chance to talk about it. So I just thought I'd ask your opinion, what you've heard, what you thought about it.
Well, excellent news, of course, all the way around. No appeal is always good news. That gives the Canadian government until mid-August to come up with a new plan for all of Canadians. I think Judge Phelan expressed very thoroughly in his decision that basically there was nothing wrong with the original plan. He does not understand why it was messed with in the first place. It should have been left alone. So I'm looking forward to Health Canada and the Canadian government coming up with a new plan that's going to encompass all patients and our right to grow.
Yes, exactly. And I'm sure we'll get into that with our guest tonight, too.
Yes, absolutely. I'm absolutely positive of that.
I'm sure you will. Okay, and the other thing I want to touch on with you was, being that you're here in Ontario, the effect of the vapor lounge, or not the vapor lounge, but the vapor law, the medical law, or not law, but even just the law, period, that the Ontario government's come out and put cannabis in the same category as tobacco, and it's as if they've done a complete turnaround on things on us here. So.
Yeah, full 360 there, by the Wynne government. They announced last year at the end of the year that there was, going to be, patients' rights as far as vaping goes, vaping and consuming cannabis on a prescription as a medication. We cannot be forced to be restricted as to where we can take our medication. So the laws have to come around surrounding patients' right to medicate. They said they were going to do this at the end of the year last year, and now lo and behold 360, and they're going to fight us on it. And they're saying that no vaping allowed anywhere. It's going to affect patients' rights in vapor lounges and several other establishments that are within the community that help patients when they're out and about, trying to experience their daily lives. It's ridiculous. There's petitions going around all over, several places that are fighting it. The one main petition that's going around, I've signed, I know many have already, against this. There's also a new group that's formed, the Cannabis Sorry, I've gone blank here for a moment. It's a business Cannabis Association, Cannabis Friendly Business Association, I think, and it's run by Abby Roach, who's got that started. And I have high hopes for that organization. They already have the funds raised for a lobbyist to lobby Queen's Park, and they're looking for more people to come on board and join them and to support for a lawyer to be paid, full-time lawyer at Queen's Park for our benefit, representing us. So I think that's a great endeavor, and I hope everybody can support that.
Yes, exactly. Because lounges are very important to the patients and to the community as a whole. I know they've helped businesses that are located around them. It's helped clean up neighborhoods. They're there. They haven't caused any problems. As far as police incidents, I can tell you from following them for write-ups for our guests tonight, as well as for treating yourself in the past, that as far as any problems when it comes with the police, whether there's violence there or whatever, it doesn't exist, and you can't get away with that, saying that at one Friday night in a large city when it comes to entertainment areas, when it comes to alcohol. So they're not problems to the communities, they're a benefit. So so let's hopefully people get around and support them. So
absolutely.
All right, well, let's move on to our guest. All right,
sounds good. We got lots to cover.
We sure do. Our guest tonight, who I described as a person that has helped tons of people, written a book and publishes a quarterly newspaper. Plus, he has and is doing much, much more. We'd like to welcome our friend, Ted Smith, the Cannabis Digest, onto the Pace Radio Show. Ted, are you there? Ted?
Here, you guys are fading in and out.
Oh, we just heard you there just for a second. Can you still hear us?
So I hope it's working good.
Oh,
we got some technical issues, maybe.
Technical issues. We'll see how this goes, Ted. And if there's a problem, then we'll get. We can call you. I think we'll just go ahead and call you on the phone. All right.
Yeah, that might be best.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got a lot to cover, so we don't want interruptions during this very important interview. We'll get you in by phone. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live and do experience technical difficulties once in a while, as Mr. Graham likes to call them. Our gremlins are running.
Our gremlins, that's right.
System.
That's right. We're spread around the country, all of us. You, myself, Ted, and Lifestyle Radio is in a different location, and these things happen. There's storms out there,
That's right. Well, when we want the best guests and we want the latest news, we got to do these things live. And sometimes glitches come along with that. We'll roll with the punches.
That's right. We can do that.
Absolutely.
So are you hearing anything up in your end? Like there's a Vapor Lounge, Shea Willie's, I believe, up your way, Kim?
Yes, there is. There's a Vapor Lounge called Shea Willie's that operates up here. He hasn't had any issues so far. We are also told that a Vapor Lounge and possibly a dispensary may be opening in the Sudbury area this summer. For sure, a Vapor Lounge is coming. The dispensary is still a question mark, but we are getting a Vapor Lounge entering into one of the largest metropolises that we have up here in Sudbury.
Yeah, that's good. Because you're so far north. Most of these dispensaries are located in the bigger urban areas. So it's nice to see something head your way.
Am I back?
Yeah. I think we've got Ted.
I think.
Okay, here I am.
Okay, we got him. All right. Great.
Right.
All right. Well,
better.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear your voice, Ted.
It's good to be here.
Good to be here. Good. Okay, Cam, Ted, you know how this all works out, and I'll just let Kim go away with some questions, and I'll jump in along the way.
Cool.
Thanks very much for that intro, Al. Sorry it was a bit bumpy along the way there, Ted, but live and not recorded. Hey, that's how we got the best news out there anyway. We'll roll with the punches, eh?
It's all good.
It's all good. Right on. So, Mr. Ted Smith, my oh my, you are everywhere, and you are one incredible man. As Al said in the beginning, it's going to take a heck of a lot more than a 60-minute show to get anything near what we want to get out on you, but we're going to give it a try and skim the top here anyway. How are things out that way, out in the West Coast?
Well, it's a busy time in the cannabis industry, and it's spring too, so I'm trying to get a garden in and jogging, preparing for a half marathon and all sorts of stuff. So busy time. Right on.
Busy time. What is your feel for the Allard decision? Let's start with that. That was our news feature off the top, so we might as well keep that flow going.
A wonderful decision. And it was very well thought out, which I think is why it took so long for him to do. And it didn't surprise me that the government wasn't going to appeal it, except I did expect them to appeal the time. I thought they would argue for more time and be given a year, which is generally what they've been given by the courts. So I was happy to see that they weren't going to delay it any further, so that they'll have a resolution as soon as possible. And it seems like in August we're going to have a new program come into effect. It'll probably take a little while for the office to open and everyone to be trained and such, so that there will be some more delays. But certainly within a year from now, we would expect a fully operational division in Health Canada that's helping patients, get licensed grow-ops for themselves. So there are some questions about whether the government will reenact the old program or will come in with something different. And at this point, it's really unclear whether they will do that. We're hoping not to have any restrictions on the number of plants, for example, or, other problems that they could dream up. But, it's wonderful news and life-saving news to patients like Gail, who've been relying upon either growing their own or designated growers providing to them, because she could never afford the amount of medicine she's using now.
Yeah, and therein lies the issue for patients, and I think that's what people can't seem to wrap their heads around. This isn't a recreational issue. This is a medical issue, and taking away a patient's right to grow an herb in a garden is saving their life. It's not going to happen under our watch, that's for sure. Hopefully the government will take heed. A lot of people are nervous about restrictions. Do you think this government will be as rigid as the previous government looking at restrictions, given the speeches and
you have to remember the Liberals were the ones
Trudeau?
that created the MMAR in the first place. And the original MMAR is not nearly as manageable as what ended up happening after several court decisions struck it down, including the restriction on extracts. These were things that the Liberals put in, and limits on the number of growers in one location, for example, is something that they fought over and over in court. And every time they lost in court, they would make an incremental decision or change in the program. And so, the Conservatives didn't create that program. It was the Liberals. And so, in a way, unfortunately, I'm one of the ones that's being skeptical of the Liberals, especially having put a police officer in charge of this portfolio. I'm trying to give the Liberals the benefit of the doubt here, but I'm skeptical that they're going to reenact the old program. I'm skeptical, for example, that they will allow designated growers to operate in the same manner. I think that if a patient can't grow their own, they may try to force them to get it from a large company. I hope that isn't the case, because obviously patients like my love Gail couldn't grow her own. But it's hard to say what these government bureaucrats are going to do.
Yeah. Well, it's very difficult to judge. But as you said, given the situation. I mean, we got to go by what's happening currently, and the signals that are being put out by the steps that they're taking currently. And the step being taken currently is putting a former police chief in head of this program, and that police chief was vehemently, opposed to cannabis and wanted, total prosecution
people today, too,
of those people.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, Tim.
It makes it difficult. That's okay. It makes it difficult to have trust in future decisions.
Yeah, at this point, they're not acting in good faith. They're arresting people every single day for possession of something that they're going to turn around and sell it to them as soon as they get their shit together. That right there is absurd and hypocritical, and they're not acting in good faith. So it's really hard to trust them.
Yeah, I guess too, Ted. If you look back at the track record of the MMAR, there was a lot of people were allowed to grow and all that. But you look at the track record that one being set up by the Liberal government then. How many times was it ruled unconstitutional? 9 times or something, where it was before the courts and people were battling it. So I can I can see why you can be very skeptical about it.
Yeah, when the MMAR first came into effect in 2001, I'd already been running the Buyers Club in Victoria for 5 years. And it was funny because people were like, oh, the government's got their program. They're going to put you out of business now. And it's like, no, they're just basically making us look good. And it was terrible when it first came into effect. It had, the Liberals here haven't impressed me historically. And, at this point, it seems like mostly lip service that we've been given. So, we'll see what they do in the summer here. But at this point, I'm one of the skeptics.
Yeah, many of us are. You're not alone in that aspect, that's for sure. Many people are very skeptical at this point. What do you think of what's going on in Toronto with the Liberal government regulating our vapor areas and permissions to vape and consume medication when needed outside?
Well, I hate to venture outside of cannabis policy, but I'd have to say it sounds like your Ontario government's really all over the road with all sorts of issues. And so the flip-flopping here is certainly terrible. But I think what may end up happening is the backlash and resistance to these may bring our community together stronger than ever. And so, I've been watching the reaction, and honestly, I've been very pleased to see people, putting aside their differences and working together on a common goal, because it doesn't matter what business you have when you work in the cannabis industry. This threatens us all. It threatens our livelihoods. It threatens our personal lives to think that, patients are going to be able to use their medicine, discreetly in all sorts of situations like hospitals when they should be. It's just completely wrong. And so, it's, I think, going to cause a backlash that will surprise the Ontario government. And people are just going to defy them anyway, as they already have. I don't think it's going to slow down the proliferation of dispensaries and lounges that are opening up. Quite the opposite. It's just putting fire in people's bellies, really.
Yeah. I think somewhat it's a national issue. It's somewhat of a national issue when it comes to that, because, we go to each other's provinces. Anybody visiting this province that has an illness and a license to use cannabis is all of a sudden forbidden to use it in certain areas when they visit our province. In that terms, it has to be a national issue, and we need other provinces to dive on board and say, hey, no way, unless you want tourism to stop in Ontario, then you better fix this.
I can't think of another medication that's been banned that doesn't allow patients to use it. I can't think of any other medication. No.
Yeah.
No. All right, Kim.
It's an absurd issue, because here in Victoria, we're getting licensed with the Cannabis Buyers Club, but from the city, that they want to shut down our smoking room. We're calling it a safe inhalation site, because they're actually working with the federal government to have a safe injection site. But at the same time, not due to any complaints at all, they want to shut down our smoking room and our buyers club that's been there for decades now, really. It's absurd, this phobia about smoking that's existing.
So you guys are starting to feel some heat too, or there's something to try to clamp down on you guys too. Interesting. Okay, we'll get into more of that after the break. Tonight our bumper music is by the Tall Brothers, and we'll be sharing something that's I'm kind of high before and after these special messages. Then Kim and I will continue to talk with our guest, author Ted Smith. This is the Pace Radio Show at LifestyleRadio.ca. This is the Pace Radio Show.
You get me too high. I overanalyze. If you've ever been too high, then you can sympathize. You get me too high. And I start to fly if I said some silly thing, and that's the reason why. Shiva, my sativa, you get me too high.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet. www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CTCP Society, or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
This is Al Graham of the Pace Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the Pace Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on LifestyleRadio.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
Hey Shiva, got a fever. You get me too high. You get me too high. It's funny how the sky and each cloud and every moment seem to drift right by. You get.
Hello and welcome back. We are the Pace Radio Show, and we are live at LifestyleRadio.ca and also on Spreaker. Today I was out and about talking with some of the businesses that Pace deals with, and one of them was the Trenton location of Marijuana for Trauma. I stop in there about once a month and go in and have a bit of a gab with the people that work there, as well as I hand them over some educational information. We've shared some stories and experiences and about doing outreach into the community. During the last two visits, we've talked about doing something together in the future, and I bring up this for two reasons. One of them is that where I live, there are many vets, and it would be great to work with a organization like that to help the vets to connect. And the second reason I bring that up is to let you know that the man behind Marijuana for Trauma, who is Fabian Joseph, will be on the 420 radio show this week. You'll be able to hear all about the organization and what they're doing, and as far as how if they're spreading across Canada, which I believe they are. So tune in Friday at 7 p.m. and listen to Al and Fabian and the crew and learn about that organization. It'd be a great opportunity for you, as well as if you can get a vet to tune in and listen to what Fabian has to say. Other than that, tonight on the Pace Radio Show, I'm joined by our guest, Ted Smith, the publisher of Cannabis Digest, and my joint host, Northern Kim Cooper. Kim, I believe you left and you are back now.
I'm back again.
Good stuff. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to let you carry on from where we were before the break.
Sounds good. I enjoyed my break. I'm back happy again. How are you doing there, Ted? Are you back with us?
I sure am.
Awesome. So just before we went to the break, you were saying that there are some issues with the vapor lounges or the smoking areas or designated consumption rooms that you have there. What was the term that you used?
Safe inhalation site.
Safe inhalation site. I like that. And it's so
it really
applicable,
fits well with the
isn't it?
harm reduction terminology that the government loves to use.
It does. It does. It encompasses all of the words that they love.
Toronto City Council, when
That's
they were
a very
looking
good phrase.
when Toronto City Council was looking at doing regulations for the vapor lounges there, they were called medical marijuana consumption facilities. That's what they were going to call them in their regulations. I like yours, Ted. Yours much better.
Yeah, safe inhalation sites. I mean, it makes total sense. And it's terminology that they can appreciate, and it's so applicable. I hope that term picks up nationwide, if not globally. Yeah, that's great. So you guys are having some issues there as well.
Yeah, like in Vancouver, when the city made their proposals last summer, they actually shut down all the smoking or consumption in the dispensaries. So there's vapor lounges like Cannabis Culture still operating, although there are only really a handful in Vancouver compared to Toronto. But all of the dispensaries, as far as the city knows, do not allow consumption on site. In Victoria, we're the only space who publicly has a place for people to consume. There isn't a vapor lounge for the public to go to. And while some of the other dispensaries sort of discreetly allow some vaporizing, we're the only ones that have a room set aside specifically for patients to go and use as they see fit. And so the city has known this. We've been very public about it for years. We're pretty open with the city council about who we are and what we're doing. And so we're the ones kind of being tested here, and hopefully the city will grant us an exemption. The process through the variance committees will be quite different in Victoria than Vancouver, we're hoping, for a few reasons. And so we really hope that we're going to get an exemption, but it may be that the city doesn't allow any of the other places to do this, to have a consumption site, which would be very unfortunate for a number of reasons. It's something where a lot of the rules that the city is enacting have followed Vancouver's lead, and they're really based upon some prohibitionist mentalities that are quite frustrating. And often they make up these arbitrary, decisions about no consumption on site based on no evidence at all. They're citing, for example, the idea that people may drive after they've consumed and that they'd be intoxicated and therefore a danger to the public. Now, this isn't based on any evidence. There's, no information coming from Amsterdam, for example, where they've had these, cafes in operation for years, and there isn't some sort of public nuisance as such. And other places like Colorado, they're seeing a drop in people dying on the road and other crimes. So, really statistically speaking, their decision goes, against what the scientific evidence is saying. But, the police are really good and these bureaucrats at inventing these superstitious beliefs and then prohibiting certain activities based upon them. Another silly one, for example, is that they are not going to allow, children under the age of 18 to go in, even if they're with an adult, even if they're the patient using the services, they're not allowed to go into the facility, which is absurd because a child can go with an adult to buy liquor in a store. They can sit with an adult in a restaurant while they buy a beer and drink it. But suddenly, cannabis is more dangerous than alcohol, and many of these small rules that is made. And deliveries as well. They don't want to allow deliveries, which is absurd for patients like Gail, who again can't even get out of her bed, who rely upon people to provide her medicine. And even with me as her caregiver, I rely on people to help me sometimes. And so and they're citing the idea that children may buy from people if they're allowed to purchase in home deliveries. And the irony is that if these stores are allowed to sell to adults in Victoria, the only people left selling cannabis are actually going to be youth, because nobody else is going to bother because you can get it cheaper at a store anyway. And so instead of stopping deliveries being a means by which, to stop youth getting access, the people that can't get deliveries to them are actually going to go and find some kid to buy it off of instead, because the kids are going to be the only ones that will risk selling it to them if they can't get it delivered to them.
Yeah.
So they're actually going to be encouraging sales to kids or from kids if people can't get deliveries. It's the exact opposite result of what they think that they're going to get.
Yeah. Youth involvement is encouraged at that point, right? Instead of discouraged. And like you said, so many of these views are from prohibitionist attitudes. I mean, the new rules that should be being looked at have to be looked at from a totally different frame of mind. It can't be based on old-time thinking. It has to be based on today's science. And nobody seems to be doing that.
No, not yet.
It's just prohibitionist attitudes. They don't fit in today's world. We know better.
No, it's like peeling off layers of an onion. As soon as you've gotten one argument, then they've still got the next one. We're digging through.
It's all based on propaganda fears, and there's obviously I know here in Ontario they're not using any facts or anything. They've just, as soon as they announced the decision back there in November, the public had an outcry, and it was all based on public reaction. It wasn't based on any science whatsoever.
That's right. And the general public is only fearful because of the misinformation and propaganda that's been spewed by the governments for so many years. If these people were educated, and the government used those resources to educate the general public and dismiss those fears, then there wouldn't be outcry and you wouldn't have to worry about backlash and so forth. But I mean, even with public outcry, the government needs to educate the people and say, well, no, there's no reason for you to be afraid, and educate the public rather than change the rules to suit the fear.
Exactly. Well, I know Ted's been doing a super job educating the public.
Yes, and that was where I was going next. Coming up to educate the public. You have been involved in so much education to the public. You got your start back in Hempology 101 back in 1995. That's quite a long time being dedicated to this cause in such a manner that you are, Ted. I mean, you are fully immersed in this in every ounce of your being. Unlike most others, it's not a job to you; it's a life. It's very, very admirable. Hempology 101 in 95. You went to university to be an accountant, and went to a Hempology 101 meeting, and your life took a turn and turned in a complete other way. Then you started the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club in 96. moved on in 2003 to Cannabis Digest, and where you are currently still putting out Cannabis Digest, and it's now evolved into a little paper. How's things going at Cannabis Digest?
Well, it's been an incredible run from the first newsletter that was really just a photocopy folded in half to make it look like 4 pages. And now we're going to be back up to 44 pages again this issue. And we're actually working really hard right now trying to get it all put together. And it'll be out in the middle of April here. The next issue, I guess, 48 coming out now. And so, it's been really wonderful to watch it evolve, and it's been great to collaborate with Owen, mostly Owen Smith, who was the baker that everyone knows from the Supreme Court Canada case last year, and he's pretty much my partner in crime, along with Judith Stamps. The three of us really, with some other writers in that, put the thing together, and it's been really wonderful to see it evolve. And I wish I had more time for it, honestly. It's got such great potential. It would be distributed a lot more and more advertisers if I could. But I think most people know, if they don't already, that most of my time right now is caring for my love Gail, who's in palliative care in a hospital bed at home. So the newspaper is kind of something I do on the side almost, and it could be a full-time job now, but it's still a wonderful paper, and we've got lots of great writers that want to contribute and help educate people, and just really blessed with the number of advertisers that have been supporting us and keeping it going. And it's just been a phenomenal run. And really, it's hard to say how far it's going to go with legalization on the cusp. It's really amazing because, a lot of other people in the industry, even if they've worked in it for a long time, there's a lot of uncertainty right now in almost every field. There's a lot of opportunity, but nobody knows where they're going to go and how it's going to work out. Personally, I feel like I'm set because, as you mentioned, and I don't mean to correct you, but some of the introduction was wrong. I started university actually in 1989 at Wilfrid Laurier back in Waterloo, Ontario. And started to, in economics to become a chartered accountant, and graduated with a philosophy degree, writing and wanting to change change the world through words and thinking. And so to have a newspaper, honestly, as a philosopher, is like the best job in the friggin' world.
Your dream come true.
It is. And I never dreamed on having a newspaper. It sort of snuck up on me. But as time goes on, I'm really enjoying the opportunities I have to educate people and go to events, and it's something that I'm building a community of advertisers and readers and writers, and it's been a wonderful project because I don't have any competition out there. There isn't any other Canadian publication, magazine, or otherwise that is competing with me in any way, shape, or form, really. Some online, but not in print. And so, I can be pretty much, in some ways, everybody's friend, the dispensaries and the head shops and, the products and all that, because I'm not, competing directly with any of them. I'm giving them all an opportunity to showcase themselves. So, it's been a wonderful project and something I imagine I'll be doing for the rest of my life, that's for sure.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know Al was going to pipe in there too. I know you've got some nationwide distribution. Al, you wanted to speak to that, I think.
I was gonna mention ask you how, as far as the numbers that you produce, you print off, and the fact that you do distribute it across Canada. I know that I am a recipient of a couple of bundles each issue, and I deliver them to approximately 10 different locations, and they're always very happy to see them, and they put them right up on their counters so that the customers can come in and take them away. So
cool. Yeah, right now we're still just printing 10,000 every quarterly issue, and right now we're pretty much out by the time we print the next one. But there will be a point here where we'll be printing more. But yeah, before the next issue, I want to get a list out of all the places that it is distributed in, because it's probably around 150 places across Canada that end up having at least a few newspapers in them every issue. So. Okay,
well, what I'll do is I'll just write myself a note. I'll send you a list of the businesses that I deal with that receive the copies that I give them. Okay. Alrighty, that'll help you with that list. And talking about lists and everything, it is break time. It's commercial time.
Gotta pay some bills.
Gotta pay some bills. That's right. That's right. And time to hear from the Tall Brothers again. When we return, Kim and I will continue this conversation with Ted Smith, the author of Hempology 101, the history and uses of cannabis sativa, which we haven't even touched on yet. And you're listening to the Pace Radio Show here at LifestyleRadio.ca. Pace Radio Show.
Shiva, my sativa, you get me too high. Get me too high. Hey Shiva, got a fever. You get me too high.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
The National Task Force on Medicinal Cannabis is a group of not-for-profit organizations dedicated to influencing government policy with factual evidence. Our mission is to ensure that a constitutional medical program is developed that will address the concerns of all Canadians that require therapeutic cannabis. The task force is looking for dedicated people who are willing to contribute to our cause. We have formed this task force to foster a unified approach and focus on lobbying the federal government and Health Canada. We represent the combined expertise of thousands of patients with more than a decade of experience. As a task force participant, you, your business, or your group will have an opportunity to show that you care and offer your unique skills to promote the cause. If you would like to get involved, go to medcanataskforce.org. That's medcanataskforce.org and use the Contact Us link to get started. Help us help you.
Tune into the Pace Radio Show and catch Kim Cooper, Debbie Stoll-Skiffen, or Allison Merlin, along with myself, Al Graham, as we talk to Canadian and international cannabis advocates who are working hard to help patients and to end cannabis prohibition. Catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at LifestyleRadio.ca.
I overanalyze. If you've ever been too high, then you can sympathize. You get me too high. And I start to fly if I said some silly thing, and that's the reason why. Shiva, my sativa, you get me too high.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning into the Pace Radio Show. We are live tonight here at LifestyleRadio.ca and on Spreaker every Wednesday night. Plus, you can find us at YouTube, Mixcloud, and many of the other audio apps that are out there. There's those gremlins again, eh?
That was too trippy.
Okay, tonight's bumper music was the BC bass band, the Tall Brothers, and their song "You Get Me Too High." Hey, that's what you have felt and have enjoyed. If you enjoyed tonight's song and you want to hear more of it, then I suggest that you look it up on YouTube, because I know that this band has many great cannabis tunes, and I know Ted can talk about them. Tonight on the Pace Radio Show, I'm joined by our guest, author and publisher, and so much more. And that's Ted Smith, and my joint host, Northern Kim Cooper. Kim, I obviously know that you're there, and there's no gremlins.
I made it back with a trippy intro. We're back.
Hey, it's all part of the lifestyle, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
All right. I think we got the last segment here, and I think I know where you're going to go with this segment. So go to it.
I think you're probably correct in your assumption. How you doing? You back with a smile too, Ted?
Oh yeah, sitting outside here enjoying the sun.
Sitting outside?
Yeah, with my bare feet.
Oh,
nice. Nice. You're just killing us here in Northern Ontario, I got to tell you that. We've still got 2-foot snow mounds on the grass.
Yeah, I know what it's like. I ran away from there after I graduated.
I hope you feel for us. I really do.
Some small part of me.
Very good, very good. So now we're back. So yes, we're going to touch on your book a bit. That's where I was going next. Hempology 101, textbook that you chose to write because there wasn't any available and you decided to fill that need. What a great book. I personally don't own a signed copy, as my co-host Al does. Bless his soul. But I don't own a copy. Tell me a bit about your book, Ted.
Well, when I first conceived of it back in '95, I wanted to write a real comprehensive story of the cannabis plant because I thought that when the evidence was presented, it would be undeniable that prohibition was a complete farce and that the benefits of this plant were just dramatically underestimated. And so I'm 7th-generation farmer on both sides from Ontario, the first generation that didn't grow up on the farm. And when I learned the history of reefer madness and how my family had essentially been robbed by these, bankers and other industrialists, I wanted to, help bring hemp back in particular to revitalize the agricultural communities. And obviously, end the war on drugs. I didn't, know as much about medical marijuana when I started writing it. Certainly, in the process of writing it, I learned a lot. But I didn't begin it in a sense to educate people about medical marijuana. But certainly, that's one of the focuses. But I'm really pleased in that. Even to this day, while some amazing books like Dana Larson's have come out with some just great information that I maybe didn't even get in my book, no one has come out with something as comprehensive, in my opinion, as the book that I've published, where it goes into the ancient history of cannabis and hemp and the various uses and how to grow it and, the medical applications of cannabis and then, an in-depth history into the prohibition of cannabis, going back into ancient times and through the modern era, and then a really good explanation of how people have fought to bring cannabis back into the limelight, as it were. And it's, I think, again, the complete package that I wanted to present, and I'm happy to still have a kind of standalone product that has the whole picture of the plant.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely standalone. Oh boy, gremlins again. It's definitely a standalone book. There's nobody else out there like that has one similar to yours. That's for sure.
It's as Kim mentioned, I've got a copy of it, and when I got it off of Ted, that was on his book tour when he stopped into Toronto, and it's quite fascinating. A lot of people, when they think about marijuana and stuff like that, I think they only go back about as far as 1960. They don't really go back as far as they should. And I can tell you, Ted, you can probably explain some of this stuff. But how far back? Like you go right back into some of the religious stuff along that, and how it was used for, well, I don't know, 1200 BC or something.
Well, certainly Dr. Carl Sagan, a renowned scientist, has written in his book, The Dragons of Eden, that cannabis was likely the first cultivated crop 12,000, 10,000 years ago. Personally, I think that it was even grown much further back than that, but this is where, it's hard to have real evidence and proof of these things, right? And so apparently there's archaeological evidence that it goes back 10,000, 12,000 years ago. But I'm quite convinced that we were making hash from the plant, a very long time ago, and that it was only when we started to live in, very large cities of hundreds of thousands of people that we started to really agriculturally, grow cannabis in a way that we would think of as agriculture, as opposed to just having large fields of cannabis growing openly that is being harvested. So that's, I think,
didn't they find an ice woman like that, or something?
Pardon?
Didn't they find an ice woman or something not too long ago, and she had a kit, and they did X-rays or MRI on her, and they found that she had breast cancer, and the leaf kit she had contained cannabis, and they figured she was using it medicinally. It was like a cave woman type thing.
I've known of several discoveries that have been made, some in Siberia that were quite far away from the source of cannabis as well, and they've been found with hash or seeds, quite high up into the mountains where they wouldn't be grown anywhere nearby. So it was obviously, traded, 5,000-6,000 years ago. I think it's most of the, or I should say 5,000-6,000 BC. So, 7,000 or 8,000 years ago is the time period that many of these discoveries have been made. There's been some very dramatic discoveries in China as well, where shamans have been found with fairly large bags of cannabis, in ways that it was obvious that the cannabis was very highly respected, and there was more of it than anything else, and so there's been some really interesting discoveries in China of that type as well.
Right. Part of your book also goes on about how important cannabis and hemp was during wars and stuff like that, and how it was involved in the wars.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fascinating all the ways hemp has been involved in wars in different ways. Like in the United States, they were using bales of hemp in the fields to hide behind when they were shooting at the enemy. So they were fighting quite often. Their battles were in large hemp fields where they were rolling around bales of hemp in order to protect themselves and move their armies around. Then there's the wars that Napoleon declared upon Russia, because Russia was selling all of their hemp to Britain, and they were using it for their navy and their rope and sailing cloth. And so in order to undermine the British Navy, Napoleon actually invaded Russia and burnt down their hemp fields.
Yeah.
And so there's been, wars fought over hemp. There's been, in some ways, even the American Revolution was because the British monarchs were trying to take too much hemp for their battles with France. And so because they were being taxed so heavily, they rebelled. And
and there was a time in the U.S. where they were ordered to grow hemp in order to replenish those stocks.
Yeah, if they had 10 acres under cultivation, they were forced to be growing it.
Yeah.
So in times, propaganda has done so much harm. The general public is still so vastly unaware. This should all be mandatory teaching.
Well, I think they should.
It's part of our history, and
I think they should buy a copy of Ted's book, and they should all read it, because I can tell you that would change a lot of minds with that. And talking about teaching, I know it's. But you were involved in doing some teaching or something at the university in BC there, or something about your 420 classes, Ted?
Yeah.
Well, we've got a club at the University of Victoria, and it's been active for over 20 years. And for about 9 years, I taught a free non-credit lecture series. But haven't done that for the last couple of years, in large part, honestly, because I need to be at home looking after Gail, and it was a lot to manage. So we stopped doing that a few years ago. But I do have an exciting new project coming up, if I have a minute.
We don't worry about times around here sometimes. So if we run a little late, that's fine. As long as you're fine with it, we're good with it as well.
Cool, because starting on May the 12th, we're going to be organizing monthly sort of debates or conversations in Victoria at the Downtown Public Library. And I don't think we'll be live broadcasting them right away, but we'll certainly be recording them on video for people to watch. And Cam Bird from the Sensible VC campaign is going to be the moderator. And every month we're going to have a different topic. The first one, for example, is going to be on whether liquor stores are the best venue for cannabis sales. And we want to get a couple politicians in to discuss that. But we're going to be ranging in topics from law to medicine to economics, and getting professors and doctors and lawyers and people that work in the field to come and debate the nuances of legalization as it unfolds here. And so it's going to be a monthly discussion, if I didn't mention that. And it's a really wonderful project that we've got a great team to work with, and it's exciting to see it go.
Wow, awesome news. Wonderful that that's going to be available by videotape as well. That's amazing.
Yeah,
definitely. I just announced it today, actually.
Excellent. That's awesome news.
So you heard
great
it here
adventure.
first.
Excellent. We got another scoop.
Got another scoop. Hey, BC does well for that for us, doesn't it? Dana does a scoop. Ted does a scoop. Thanks, Ted.
That. 2 scoops on Pace Radio Show. You heard it here tonight first on the Pace Radio Show from Ted Smith. Excellent new program going on in BC.
And there is something else that I'd like to promote a bit too. For years, I've organized something on what we've called International Medical Marijuana Day. I originally was following people in the United States who don't seem to be doing it anymore. But we've moved the date around for years, and this year we decided to move it to June 11th, which is the anniversary of Owen Smith's decision at the Supreme Court of Canada last year. And what we're doing is we're encouraging people, not just across Canada, but really the world, to celebrate International Medical Marijuana Day on June 11th by simply having a picnic somewhere, and encouraging people to bring some cannabis treats to share with others if they feel safe to do so. And that's, I think, a really nice, fun way for people to just get together and celebrate. It's not a protest. It's a true, celebration of International Medical Marijuana Day. And I think it's really fitting for people to share some cookies to celebrate Owen's big decision last year. So I know Kim has said that she's going to help organize a picnic somewhere in Northern Ontario, and I really hope that others just put their hand up and find a park somewhere nearby that they want to have a picnic at and join the list. So
absolutely. No Sir is on board. That's my little organization for Northern Ontario. So No Sir is hosting one picnic, and we're hoping that number expands to a few other communities that we have coming on board in the north. So there may be more than one going on in Northern Ontario to support this great endeavor. And I think June 11th is an awesome day to pick. It was a very important day in Canadian history for cannabis users and cannabis as a medicine. And there should be something done to celebrate that date. And nothing better than a picnic outside in June in Canada. perfect.
It seems really fitting, yeah. I think a lot of people are going to catch on to this as something to celebrate. And, in some ways it seems kind of funny to have a day set aside for cannabis. We already have 420, obviously. But I think that it's important for us as a community to mark these occasions. And in Victoria, since 2002, we've actually had the city officially declare Medical Marijuana Day with the proclamation that we put up on our wall that has all sorts of, declarations about the medical use of cannabis and stuff. And I'm going to write another blog for the Cannabis Digest soon about how people can go and take these declarations and proclamations to their own cities. And we're really hoping that a lot of other places pick up on this. And, just like there's different days of the year, almost seems like every day of the year is celebrating something, and so it seems like having a date set aside for medical marijuana and having proclamations across the world really is something a really good goal to focus on. So that's
absolutely.
That's
why not cannabis?
Yeah, why not? Because we celebrate, the Global Marijuana March, celebrate 420. Those are all sort of recreational. And as you say, I don't know of any day where we celebrate medical marijuana, so this is great, Ted.
Yeah. Truly
is. It's going to work.
And it's a lifesaver for so many, as we've touched on here and there. Many of us depend on this to keep us going in life, to keep us mobile, to keep us part of our communities and part of our families, and right down to keeping us alive by fighting disease and helping with coping and dealing with pain and all kinds of issues. And that kind of brings me around to the last kind of thing I wanted to touch on with you, and that is your beautiful, beautiful, lovely Miss Gail Quinn. I follow you guys. I follow Gail and her story. She touches my heart every day. I believe we're coming up on 160 days soon, isn't it?
160 days, sorry. But anyway, thank you. It's kind of broken up a little bit here. My love, Gail.
Oh, I understand. She's beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people's lives she's touched in all sorts of ways. We're actually approaching, I think, her past now 500 days since she was sent home to die. Actually, 500. When the cancer had her back so much that her vertebrae were collapsing, and so it was at that point that we pretty much threw out all the other medicines she was doing and just started giving her massive doses of cannabis. Again, thinking she was going to die any day. And she didn't, and it's been incredible. It's been intense. It's been very draining in all sorts of ways. But having her at home here has been what's kept her alive. I'm certain that she would have died if she was in a facility long before now. And it's been just an incredible journey, and it's only brought us together more, and something that I've tried to share my experiences on Facebook and what's happening, and the outpouring of love that we receive from strangers and others is really touching and really humbling, and it's something that we can feel every day, and it's I'm just so thankful for all the medicine that's been donated to Gail. It was really surreal last year when we were fighting to the Supreme Court of Canada to make extracts legal, and I was fighting with extracts to keep my love alive. And she was one of the 4 ladies that testified in that trial. And so it really was incredible to be fighting on all those levels and really winning. And so she's an incredible testimony to the power of cannabis and the power of love and the strength and determination that a person can have. She inspires people all over the world, and it's been just incredible to be here with her through all that. But it's been terrible to watch the pain that she's in constantly. barely move, honestly. But she keeps her spirits up, and she's making crafts and trying to help people with their knowledge of herbs and medicines, and it's just been an incredible experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's inspirational. Her story is utterly amazing. What she's gone through, what she survived, the fact that she was sent home to die, and she has survived over 500 days at home since then is definitely inspirational. But I also would like to say that is not the only inspirational person under that roof. You, my friend Ted Smith, are extremely inspirational as well. Your dedication to not only the cause, but to her, and the strength and the love that just emanates from you, where her care is concerned, is something that you only hope to see in someone once in a lifetime. And I am blessed and thankful that I have seen that in you.
Thank you.
You're a very strong man. You're a very, very strong man.
Yeah.
So, I'm a very lucky guy.
It's all right. It's all right. Take a moment. Okay, and I've known Ted for a long time. When I was doing the cannabis educational documentary series at cafes, Ted would be one of the fellows who I knew I could call, and he would do a Skype interview with me. And I can remember one of them where I had just got recording capabilities on the computer, and you could only go 15 minutes with recording. And basically I had to tell everybody I was going to a break and have to start the recording, like stop the recording and start the recording again. And Ted had to endure that with me for about an hour and a half, and it was great. He was there, and we went through his book from one end of it to the other and analyzed it. We had people right there in the cafe, and they could watch as well as and see Ted during the discussion, and it was great to. People weren't used to seeing somebody stand there and medicate and at one of these things, because we weren't medicating inside the cafes. And so, and the crowd that we had there wasn't your everyday crowd. There was people who were just there to learn. They weren't involved in the cannabis community, so it was great to be able to reach out to them and have Ted involved and all that. So, but I know for Ted it always hasn't been like we talked about, the book and Cannabis Digest and everything, and it wasn't always, he just didn't move out west and bang, all this stuff started. He had to really work at it, and I'm sure he could tell you that I believe his office and probably his residence when he first got out there was probably a 5x8 room, because I think Ted, if I can recall, you started a lot of this stuff in the back of a van?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I moved to Victoria, I worked a bunch in the summer of 95, well, for a month, and I bought a van so that I would have a home when I moved to Victoria to start up Hempology. And I was living in the van when I started the Buyers Club. I just got a page in a pamphlet and did deliveries around Victoria from my van when I started, and then I got a small apartment and operated from there for years, for about 5 years before we got the storefront.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It takes time. All these
takes
things
time. You got to build it up from the ground. It's that's and for all your hard work and everything. Obviously you're rewarded with all the love that you give out and the people that send it your way as well. So, all right, we're getting there. About 10 after 9. I don't know, Kim, have you got any more questions for Ted?
I could go on for another hour, but sadly I can't.
Yes, you got
Other obligations are proceeding, so sadly I have to call it. But I could go on for another hour if you let me.
You sure could. Okay, well then, as Ted, this is the point where we have our shout out, where we look for you to, if you got a website or if you want to mention anybody by name, to highlight them for the reference. This is your opportunity along that line.
Okay, well, I guess I should mention CannabisDigest.ca because we're putting up blogs throughout the week. Like I say, I just announced the new monthly debates that we're going to be having. And yeah, I guess if I'm going to put a shout out, it's going to be to Herb, our mascot with Hempology 101 that I'm going to be wearing on April the 24th in a half marathon. I'm trying to get in shape again. I've done 3 half marathons wearing a 12-foot tall pot leaf costume. And the time's calling us 10K, and Victoria's coming up in a few weeks, and I plan on doing that stunt again here. So if anybody wants to come out and watch a big pot leaf run around Victoria, that'd be the day.
There you go. That should be fun. Right on.
It might be a little warm inside the suit, Ted, but I think that you're probably going to have a lot of people waving and stuff at you.
It does get warm in the suit. Luckily, it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I actually have a group at the 6 kilometer mark, and we have a bong hit station set up for me. So I actually catch my breath for a minute and hit the bong, and it helps cool me off a little bit at the 6K mark. It actually really helps give me a second wind for the end of the race there.
There you go.
There you go.
Everybody else go water stations. Hempology, it's rocking the bong station.
You know it.
Where can you see a cannabis leaf involved in a marathon?
Yeah, nobody else is as crazy as me.
God love you.
Well, hey, it's no doubt you do everything possible that you can think of in order to help spread the word. And hey, who would have thought running in a marathon with a cannabis leaf suit?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, it's a good way to show potheads aren't lazy, that's for sure.
There you go.
For sure. Now, just out of curiosity, when you're doing this running, is there anybody tagging along with you, or are you handing out any information or anything like that?
Well, in the past, we actually got a bunch of hemp seeds and like hemp hearts, and at the end of the race, a lot of people want to take their picture with me, and we would give out the hemp hearts, and it was quite interesting to see how ignorant people were about hemp hearts and how legal they were and how good they were for you. So that was actually a really great educational campaign. Because I'm coming up 20 years, I'm a vegetarian, and I eat a lot of hemp. So I really am powered by cannabis in a lot of ways. And so that's part of my whole point here, is to prove that, being a cannabis nut is actually healthy for you, and it doesn't harm you. And so, it's been really good visually for that. But at the end, there's only so much chance to do things. It all goes by very quickly, honestly.
Yeah, talking about things going by quickly, and it's time and stuff like that. But I'm looking at the calendar. I think it's been 2 years now, Ted, since you were up on Parliament Hill.
That was 2 years ago that we were protesting the NPR. I guess we were there last year for the Supreme Court of Canada, but I didn't do much more than burn a joint at the Parliament building.
Mm.
That was 2 years ago that we were at the protest.
Yeah, that's where I first met you. Actually, was our first face-to-face meeting was at the trial for Owen Smith on Ottawa last year. That was quite the event as well.
Right. Yes, it was. It was interesting. I enjoyed sitting in there and watching that. It was good.
Yeah.
Okay, Kim.
I got nothing. I got nothing tonight.
All right. Okay. I'm going to let everybody know that tonight's music was by the Tall Brothers and the song You Get Me Too High. And as we did last week, we're going to play some of that song after we wrap things up here. Just a reminder to let everybody know that I'll be back live again next Wednesday as Kim returns. Yep, she's back next week, and her guests will be Doug and Michelle Sikora.
Yes, Sikora. Yes,
I got it right. Yeah. All right, good.
Yeah,
of S&M
Sweet Shop.
Sweet Shop. Right. You can find Pace Radio Show on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Pace Radio. You can also find us on the web at pace-online.ca. You guys learn some information about the joint hosts and that on the program. We're all listed there. And our thank yous tonight go out to our sponsor, the friendly folks at BMA Hydroponics. We're located in Belleville, Ontario. Al Rapp of Lifestyle Radio. He's going red. A huge thank you to our guest, author and publisher Ted Smith of Cannabis Digest, and to a joint host, Northern Ontario, Kim Cooper. Plus a big thank you to you, our listeners, for tuning in to tonight's program. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Thanks for having me.
You get me too high. I overanalyze. If you've ever been too high, then you can sympathize. You get me too high. And I start to fly if I said some silly thing, and that's the reason why. Shiva, my sativa, you get me too high. Hey Shiva, got a fever. You get me too high. You get me too high. It's funny how the sky and each cloud and every moment seem to drift right by. You get me too high. I've never been this shy, but I swear I love you, baby, till the day I die. Shiva, my sativa, you get me too high. Hey Shiva, got a fever. You get me too high.
It's gotta be in some bar.
Sorry, boys and girls, but this is X-rated. So if you're under 18...
Get out, goddammit! Get the point? Good.
And now?
Bend over.
Y'all ready for this?
Get it down. Get it down. I can't wait anymore. I like to watch. Whatever you desire. I know you like it. Do it.
We do it all night long.
You're